Pebble Beach is probably the biggest concentration of car enthusiasts, but let's say car aesthetic, car culture enthusiasts. So this is not racing, this is purely the love of the product, the love of the detail, the beauty of the cars. So this is something that Americans manage to do very well. You see here an amazing concentration of great cars in a beautiful location. I really enjoy this, and the quality of cars and people is remarkable.
Pebble Beach is becoming really important, certainly to the premium brands like Bentley. Because one, there's so many customers and enthusiasts to automotive, the automotive world, but also just the celebration of the whole, the cars, the classics, but also the modern concepts and the new products that are coming out. The Bentleys are important. One of the Bentleys won the Quail event, which was really interesting. Personally, I like Jaguars. I recently bought an E-Type Jaguar, so I'll keep my eye out to see if there's any Jaguars here.
There's another very interesting vehicle that struck me at Pebble Beach this year. It's a motorcycle, and I didn't know that they're not used to seeing motorcycles at Pebble Beach, but this one motorcycle, it's a front-wheel drive, has the engine inside the front tire. The pistons come all the way around the hub of the wheel, like the old airplanes, with the pistons coming out of the center. And it's an amazing idea of putting engines inside the wheel. We're going to see this very soon come back into motorcycle design with electric engines. So we're going to put engines in wheels, just like this motorcycle did. And so I find this a very futuristic design coming from the late 30s. I usually come here to Pebble Beach for the reflections. I'm a reflection freak, and here you get the most amazing reflections on any car. And they tend to make today's cars look really bland and passé. So even though these cars come from a long time ago, I always look for the brilliance in the reflections. As you walk around the car, that they should pool and puddle and move across there like a visual symphony as you walk around, and that's what really it gets me excited about these cars in Pebble Beach. There's an easy favorite for me. It's the Norman Timbs 1948 a Roadster. Amazing car, had no idea existed, and it's definitely an Audi NSU, Auto Union record car looking thing with covered wheels and haunches on the front, haunches on the rear. It's a cab forward car from 1948, which means that the cab forward cars that Bertone was doing in the 70s were a very different deal. Obviously, this is a Roadster car and not a closed car like the Countach or other things. But it is definitely a beautiful car.
I think we bought the car in about 2002, so it'd be about 10 years. It was absolutely horrible shape. It was non-running. The entire dash panel and correct steering gear were missing. The rest of the car was there, but large holes had been cut in to the back of the body and arched wheels. They had bolted the body together, so it no longer functioned correctly. And it had been basically in derelict shape for 40 or 50 years. So I foolishly thought that in our shop we just do private restorations for ourselves. I thought I could do the car in 2 years. I spent 4 years before I gave up. I sent it to Custom Auto in Loveland, Colorado for a 1-year finish up. It took them 3.5 more years, and they say it was the toughest car they ever worked on, much worse than a Duesenberg or something of that nature, because of the massive size of it and the poor condition. It actually rides very smoothly with the independent rear suspension. The only thing that's different about it is you sit so far forward in it that when you come to an intersection, you have to kind of think a little more like a bus driver, perhaps. You don't turn the minute you get to the intersection like you would in a regular car. You allow yourself a couple feet into the intersection and then turn. If you turn in too close, you would have a tendency perhaps to clip the rear end on the curb. So you just stay a little wide and a little deep.
It's my first time coming to Pebble Beach, and I'm amazed by all the opulence and luxury and all the money and time and love that's gone into these cars that date back to like 100 years. So it's been pretty amazing to see the passion of all these people, young and old. It's great how the automobile is like a sculpture, like a piece of art, and everybody appreciates it. As a designer, I think this is very relevant in that you can see good design and timeless, pieces of artwork that have, survived, how many years and stuff, and people who keep them pristine, and just you can see all the details and just what's more timeless and classic. The things that were really good back then kind of come around. You can see certain cues. So I think it is very helpful for a designer to see where the automobile has been, what it is now, and where it's going to go.
So, best of show for me today is this Alfa Romeo. This Alfa Romeo Zagato is actually exceptional because although it's a car, a pre-war car, you can definitely appreciate the modern proportion of the car. So this is really something that's compact, it's relatively low, it's not too big, and what is really remarkable on this car is this form follow function. Cars of that time were sometimes really decorative, but this is almost a racer, and it's actually every single piece you see on this car is functional. And this is something that I appreciate today on cars, and this is something that is also remarkable on these classical vehicles. So there's been a lot of nice cars today, but for me this is the best. I would say the events are comparable because of, let's say, how exclusive they are. But the size of the event is really different, and there is also a little bit of the influence from the local people. So the atmosphere here is actually quite relaxed, although we are on a super exclusive golf course. So it makes it really easy to talk to people. Collectors are proud of their cars. So you hear amazing story. I was talking to a lady owning a car that was bought by her son that passed away, and she was here to represent her son. So you hear a story you could not believe of. And this is also what is great about these cars with a long history.